Okay, Robert, looking at your essential strokes and regular speed, I know this is for a coach or coaching when you get down to South America. When it comes down to quit twirling the racket, that's nervousness. You're a nervous player. We're all nervous, but you gotta be less nervous. Don't twirl the racket. Okay, take pride in movement, take pride in ending up on balance. You've been taught how to hit the tennis ball since you're 5, 6 years old. But just here as of late, you've started to put it together. And you're still a young guy. Different chapters. It's not about technique anymore. Technique is everything. Technique is huge. But keep in mind, technique, tactics, the physical, the mental, emotional, it's all one. Elbows out, hands away from your body. Now right here, first ball, get your feet set. It's off a courtesy feed, hold the racket higher, longer. So when you get a hitting partner down in South America, it'd be great for you to be on the red clay. Okay, keep the racket higher, longer. You should be able to hit off of every stance, semi-open, open. But overall, again, you twirl the racket. Now, Roger Federer twirls the racket, but in between points, not in between hits. Hands further away from your body. It's great how you're close on the baseline. But you have a very, very strong fundamental base. Moving, breathing, how far apart are your feet? Old habits die hard. But in the rally, all day long. Now you're not getting there, getting your feet set, getting your feet further apart, whether it's semi-open, open, closed. Now you've been in obviously a program that's technically sound. In other words, we've really emphasized fundamentals. But you don't want to get stuck on the first and second chapter. Now, still have the racket go forward where the strings go out to the target. But you know and I know that all the hours we spend on the court, you don't volley this way. You come up and you improvise and you make it up as you go along. Now you have a two-handed backhand. You should be able to hit two-handed approach volleys, two-handed swing volleys. But you have the know-how. Confidence comes from winning. Winning comes from skill. Skills come from practice and know-how. Okay, you're an athlete. You run well. You always had that ability. But when it comes down to that inner belief system, you're very much like my two boys. My youngest son has stayed with tennis, but when he was younger, he wasn't really that into tennis. But he started gaining some momentum because he started having some wins. But right here, Jose's feeding you balls, feet moving in between, small little steps, and then how you end up at the impact point. You have to go with practicing both strengths and weaknesses. You're stronger in the back of the court. But right here, if someone were to see you hit, they're going to think this guy's a player because you have very good mechanics overall. But look how close your feet are together. But you've been lazy. No question about it, you've been lazy, and you know that. Well, there's a positive. You also have relaxation skills. But what happens is that hurts you because now when you start to play a match, you're relaxed. But you have to find intensity with calmness. So you're very laid back, and all of a sudden we say, okay, let's keep score. And then you push the panic buttons. So at the same time, and we're not going to change your personality, that's the great thing. But at the same time, we can change your competitive spirit. Great swing, up over your shoulder. Get a step out, get lower. Now next you'll be hitting your underspin backhand. You didn't put in due diligence. When you hit it for years, you just went through the motions. But that's yesterday's news. I mean, I just think of motivation. Bob Carmichael started playing tennis when he was 21. 10 years later, he's in the quarterfinals of Wimbledon. If you want to become great, it's a choice. And even though perhaps you didn't play all that many tournaments for a few years, but you've never been that far away from it. You've had a great go at learning technique. Now that how you're hitting that looks overall very good. And it's not a matter of going through the slow motion and say, okay, base knuckle on the index finger, turn the shoulders more. You got to hit this shot. You got binocular vision. You don't turn enough. You're not coiled. If I were to ask you, okay, what's the aggressive air margin? What's your radius on the short ball range? Are you going to be able to stand in front of a group and go through the 7 concepts? No. Why? Because you haven't been a student of the game. Your father has. Your father knows a lot more about it than you because he's got more passion for it. But you could get it, and it's just a choice. You know, you've heard it all from me. You've been around me for so long. Pain and regret, pain and discipline. You don't want to have the pain and regret. Now when it comes down to hitting lessons, you know, you get someone to hit with you, you and your dad should be able to, on a piece of paper, write down, this is what you want to do. But I think you got to get on the clay and you just got to play sets. You know, you certainly, if you can find a backboard, skip rope, do push-ups, do sprints, you know, run some distance, then you need to just hit and play. But you got to stay, you know, that means at the end of practice, just like at the beginning of practice. Look at this. I mean, you have smoothness, you have efficiency. But there's 2 sets of motor programming. One with stress, one without. Right now there's no stress, you got a nice relaxed overhead. But when you play, that lob goes up and you panic. You go, oh no. You're not getting the crossover steps in, you're not getting enough turn. But you got the grip, palm down, you got a nice loose motion. So when it comes down to having a hitting partner, okay, let's go cross court, let's go down the line. It'd be very good for you to be in a situation where you're not doing the technical exercises over and over again. Get on a backboard, like I said, in front of a mirror. Now the other thing too is, you know, strength of character. You're going to meet someone who you should know easily more about tennis than the person who's hitting with you. You're a quiet kid, you're a respectful kid, but you need to be stronger to be able to stand up to someone who says, well, you know, you need to snap your racket head over the ball. You need to pull horizontally across your chest. You're going to get all sorts of YouTube coaches that teach based on the recovery, not on the follow-through. Follow-through comes first, recovery comes second. Now watching it from this angle, you don't turn your upper body enough. You got to turn. You know, when it comes down to, you got to believe. You could play college tennis. That's where I think it was great with my son Connor. And I think that was more powerful than me telling you, is he said, hey, how are you doing in the classroom? Sit in the front row, talk to your teachers. You can do it. Now the serve looks great. It looks great, but are you going to hit baskets on your own? Are you going to set up targets? Are you going to play Mr. Nobody? Are you going to say, okay, how many times can I hit out of 10 this target? You know, if I were to ask you, what's a green light point? You know, you're up by two or more points. The math is on your side to take a risk. If I were to say, okay, you know, you're going to serve and volley. You don't serve and volley very much, but why would you serve to their body? Well, I serve to the middle so the return comes back to the middle. You got to get the juice. I'm not talking about orange juice. You got to get the juice. You got to believe that you can play with people. And I think, you know, if say for example, if you were to talk to a college coach, tell them what your story is. Storytelling for mental toughness. Well, when I was younger, I was well trained. I have always worked on technique. I wasn't that motivated. But as I got a little bit older, it became important to me. Just be honest. But then, you know, you're going to be honest with yourself. Okay, let's pause it. Well, I'm sure Andrew has enough respect where he filmed your second serve. And if he didn't, we all make mistakes. Let's see. Second serve, you increase the upward angle. You swing equally as fast. Again, good looking serve. If people watch you play in this setting, they're going to go, this kid's good. this kid's good. Breathing, you don't breathe. The opposite of breathing is choking. Taking the breath in, taking the breath out. So you may be behind some players with match play, you might be behind some players with mental toughness, but you're not behind players with the technical side. It's great. Nice low toss, smooth.